Hi, and welcome to Something About Mary Kay podcast. I'm your host, Mary Kay. And in this podcast, we're going to talk about all things life, love, and business in your 50s and above. This is also known as the golden era. Did you know this? I didn't know this, but yes, it's called the golden era. And I like the term golden because it means shiny and bright. It just means that you have a wealth of experience. So I wanted to bring this podcast to everyone on YouTube and Apple and wherever you're streaming this podcast to really talk about life, love, and business and how to navigate that at the age of 50 and above. There's lots of new things to experience, friendships, and what is it like to be in the business world? Lots of discussions to be had. I hope you come and share in this journey with me. And I would really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and follow, and set your alerts up for new content. So let's get it started together. Thank you for joining. Hi, and welcome to Something About Mary Kay. It's been a minute. Where have I been? Well, life has had some changes in my life. So they're good changes. But the first one being I found a new job. So I went from being unemployed, starting a podcast, to getting a great job with a great company. But that left me little time to start my podcast again. So here we are. I'm back. And today I have my friend Latrika with me. Hi,
Hello.
Latrika.
Hey, Mary.
So Latrika has been my friend for 10 plus years. Maybe I have
Almost 15 now?
maybe 15.
Almost.
Yeah, our kids are grown, but we've been friends for a really long time. We've definitely had good times, bad times, but our friendship has lasted the test of time. So, as you all know, this podcast is all about life, love, and business after your 50s. Now, fortunately for Latrika, she's not yet in her 50s. She is still a young one, but she hangs out with me, her elder friend. No, but for real, I feel like we act the same.
We do. I'll be 50 next year. Like I'm almost in
You're
the
almost
50
there.
club. I'm almost in the club.
So what have you learned from watching my first couple podcasts?
You know, I've known you now, and I'm been friends with you for a really long time. So I won't say I've learned much of anything new, just because I've known you for a long time. But what I will say that I see shine through the most is your genuineness, your authenticity, and your ability to pivot on a dime. I mean, life comes at you, and baby, you navigate life like a forward on the NBA team. Like you just and that's not a bad thing. That's you pivot in a way that a lot of people wish they could. So that's something I really admire about you. You always land on your feet. So,
sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll get more into your life and some of the things in our topics, but tell the audience a little bit about you.
Let's see. What's about me? I'll be 49 this year. Proud grandmother. Well, I'm a tanning. Thank you.
You picked that name.
I picked my own grandparent name, and I don't care how anybody feels about it. It's part homage to my grandmother, who was a nanny, and so now I'm a tanny because it's nanny squared, that whole thing. I'm a math girl, kind of a nerd. So I have my grandson Theo is 2.5, and baby brother Kyrie is 3 months. And I spent the day with them today, and it was amazing. But mom to 2 adult children who still need their mom, which I love and adore, but they live their adult lives enough that I don't have to be involved every day.
So you're truly an empty nester.
I am an empty nester. Been an empty nester for a few years now, and love it. This is the first year I can probably really say it's been great. Transitioning was a little hard for me, I think, but now, I'm at a job that I love, with a company that I love, with a career trajectory that there's really no limit, and I'm in a place of absolute peace in this phase of my life.
So. Isn't it crazy that we didn't think that, especially when we met, we were just like barely surviving, raising two young children by ourselves, and we were like just drawn to each other because of that. I think that was part of the reason. Plus our personalities and that kind of thing. But it's crazy to now say, oh, our kids are grown, they're doing their own thing, and now we have a different commonality. So let's talk a little bit. Let's back up for the audience, and let's talk a little bit about how we met. Because we have a unique story there too.
We do have a unique story. I was going through a divorce, and a friend I'd known, coworker I'd known a really long time, had this group on Facebook and invited me to this group. And we
Blue Light Basement.
Yep, we interacted a lot. A lot of us were. For me, it was just what I needed in the moment that I needed it, and so the group when I tell you we interacted every day, it was funny. It was, I mean, we had some of everything. We threw virtual baby showers and basement parties and all
celebrated
kinds of
everybody's birthdays.
We did. And after a few months, they decided on a meet and greet here in Dallas. And those of us that lived here, and even some of those that didn't, flew in. And so we're at one of the guys' houses, and there's, cards and drinks and games and just having a good time and music. And I noticed somebody had hold of the music, and the music was going, and it would the song would be jamming, and you just listen to it, and then skirt, it was like a record scratch, and then it switched to something else. The next song would be jamming, but it was like, and that kept happening. And I'm like, who keep changing the music? Like, soon as you get a good groove going, and lo and behold, DJ Mary over here was switching up the music. And it just, from that point forward, something just stuck. Like, her energy was infectious. She was really the life of the party. And I'm more of an introvert. I mean, naturally, during that time of my life, I was just more of an introvert. And she was just so cool. And we hung out. Like, I think we had events that whole weekend, and it was a really good, fun time. And we really, after that, found out we had a lot more in common with our kids, and we both lived in Plano, and just all of these commonalities. And we just kind of bonded from that point forward. And it's been sisterhood ever since, to be honest.
Ever since. Yeah, so Blue Light Basement was something new for me because I was brought to it from another one of my son's friend's mom was part of this group, and she invited me to it. And I think I was like, maybe there was like maybe 4 non-Black folks in there
maybe
first.
At the time,
it was like it was geared for a different group of folks, but they always said that I'd be fine in it and thought I would love it. And I did. Great people. But I think the lesson from that one was we all could have a commonality and just talk about having kids. And we were all from all parts of the country. Mm-hmm. Some people were travelers and lived overseas. And so it was a really eclectic group.
It was. And I think we were some of the younger members, and most of the folks were probably easily 10 years older than us
at the time. So we had a good time. Oh, sorry, Kat. Can't help that.
Simba wants to join the party.
So it was a really cool thing for like people who are like not into technology, and so that was like, for me, it was a little different because I had never really trusted people in a group and that kind of thing. But we met at that party, and then I think, we had a few more gatherings, and then we started talking more on the side, and then we just became friends. Our first big trip was taking the kids to the zoo.
Yep, we took
our kids to the zoo, and it was funny. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but I think the kids remember that.
Because I think our oldest 2 are a year apart, and our youngest 2 are 2 years.
2 years. They're so apart. Close.
Yeah.
So it couldn't have worked out better that we both had kids the same age, basically.
And personalities were so similar.
Similar. You had a girl and a boy, and I had 2 boys, but anyway, it just, she was really a godsend for when I moved back to Plano. So it was really nice to have another single, mommy friend. And that wasn't necessarily friends from my kids' school or work or whatever. So it was totally organic. I think our friendship is one of the only friendships that has lasted as long. I know there's a few other friends, but I consider it not as close as we are. I think we
have a very special bond.
Yeah. So, but with that, I want to go straight to with our special bond, because I think it's always important to talk about when things break.
Yeah.
And so we had, just like anybody else, I kind of say friendships have their ebbs and their flows.
They do.
And we were definitely going through it. I think I was in the phase of, I was trying to get my last kid out the door. You had, I think your kids were out the door by this point.
Maya was still at home, but life was transitioning for me.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if it was because we were both just busy and not seeing eye to eye, but we had a falling out. So we went a little bit of time and not speaking to each other, but I'd never felt like you weren't my friend.
Never.
Yeah. I just felt like we just weren't in the same place at the same time. And so, in the last year and a half or so, we started to kind of connect again. And it was when you moved back.
Yeah.
When you moved back.
Because I won't say, I feel like I was transitioning away from Texas. I ended up leaving the state. And then I think for me, I got immersed into my life when I moved to the other state, and with, new friends, new surroundings, all the things. And not to say that I disconnected from my friends here, but things were definitely different. Yeah. I wasn't here, so I wasn't in that daily involvement. Life was happening, and so we didn't quite talk as much. And then things just kind of spread out and life happens, but we never stopped
being friends.
Yeah.
It was just distant.
It was distant.
And life. Like I was trying to get, Isaiah out the door and to college and dealing with all of that. So it was good. I will say one thing, that Latrika was really there when I let everybody know that my dad passed. I didn't let a lot of people know right away that he had passed. So, that was kind of a turning point for me, where I was like, okay, I've got to mend some things and do better and reach out to people that I haven't reached out to in a while, because I kind of went into a cocoon after just not knowing how to deal with empty nesting.
And that's a lot.
We have, I would say, something that you didn't mention is that we travel really well together. So there's not many, and I think most women will say this, is you can't always travel with other women.
So I don't subscribe to that. I worked in corporate travel for 20 years. So I've traveled, I've been all over the place. But I will say this. I can't remember. And I have a group of friends that I do travel with. And I used to travel. We used to do a girl trip every year, the whole thing. When I tell you Mary is my travel girl, if I'm like, hey, I want it, let's go. When we leaving, what we need to do. And she is, we have the best organic time together. Yeah. We don't have to have a plan. We don't have to map it out. We literally are like, we're going to go. We'll figure it out when we get there. And I have had some of the best trips of my life with this girl right here.
And they were all so organic. It wasn't planned. None of it was planned.
No. I think our first trip was a road trip to Atlanta, 12 hours in a car. With another member of the
we were actually going to
another meet and greet.
A meet and greet with the countrywide folks, all meeting in Atlanta.
We were meeting in Atlanta instead of Dallas. Yeah, and
we had a lovely car.
We the other member of the group that went with us, that rode with us. First, she had us running late, and I'm a traveler, so I got to a point where when I like to try to leave.
We want to leave, but I'm the same way.
And it just, she was a talker in the group, and I'm an introvert. I'm not the extrovert. And I literally had to tell this girl, because people in the group were like, how are y'all going to travel together? Y'all are so different. I said, baby, she will be on the side of the road messing with me. And I am not the kind of person that will leave somebody stranded, but I let her know, you will be the first. Even that weekend, like of all the things that happened that weekend, and there were a lot of things that it was like really good, fun weekend. It was one of those moments where you knew this is going to be somebody that's going to be a friend for life. Like you really, when they say you don't know somebody until you travel with them, that is the absolute truth.
Agreed.
And I think for us, that was like, okay, this is a lifelong. This, I don't care what goes on, we are going to be friends for life.
We got each other's back. She had my back. Yeah, I have her back.
And it was, we had a great time. And we've done several other trips that are so memorable. Like,
San Francisco?
We did San Francisco.
Minus the fact you fell asleep on me, but we won't talk about that.
How you gonna throw me under the bus and then not allow me to respond to being run over by the bus? Well, I'm gonna let you have it. It's your show. I'm gonna let you have that one. Chicago was fun.
Chicago was a blast.
Chicago was amazing.
Chicago was a blast.
We planned our next one, our next adventure.
Don't forget Essence. Like we did.
We've done Essence.
I've never done Essence, so she went to Essence all the time. The other funny story was Essence. So we went to Essence with two other girls, and Essence was different.
Oh, the first year we went.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So disclaimer: the year prior, we had a really great trip at Essence, and I was like, this needs to be my last trip. Because I'd been going for 10 years. Yeah. I was like, I want to do international.
I met a boy.
Mary had so much fun. She wanted to return the next year. And then a couple other girls wanted to go with us, and I was like, I should have listened to my first mind. And I kept saying, I don't know. And then I'm like, okay, everybody wants to go. So I'm like, we'll go. Two personalities that did not mesh well. This one. And a former friend of mine who I had been friends with probably 30 years at that point, 20 years at that point or so. And I knew they had very strong personalities. So I was a little nervous about how they'd interact. And for the most part, probably would have been fine. But the other person definitely did not make the trip pleasant. But the other three of us refused to let that ruin our weekend. And we really did have a great time. And the three of us are still, three of the four that went are still friends. Yeah. And we're getting ready to travel together again.
That'll be another episode. We'll give you maybe like a vlog or just like a snippet where I'm definitely thinking about how can I grow this, but yeah, I just thought it's important because part of, my whole theme is like how we navigate this future life. And part of it, and a lot of us, we have money now, we can spend the time to travel. We don't have to be stuck in one place other than for work or whatever. But now we can say, okay, let's plan a trip and let's go. We literally planned this trip in like T-minus, no less. I think it took us 4 days.
Oh, once we sat down and we're like, we're going.
Once we were like, we're going, what is it? And then, we've had to make some adjustments and it's just been great. So I want to transition a little bit into, let's talk about your big life change and whatever you feel comfortable talking about it. Because I think a lot of people deal with this with other family members, friends, but this for us hits really close to home.
So, a couple of things. Like I said, I'd worked in corporate travel. I'd been in my one company job, about 20 years. Started when my daughter was probably about 6 months old. And COVID hit. We lost half of our department. And again, we're in corporate travel. People aren't going anywhere. People are on lockdown. People are scared and nervous and don't know what to do. And our workload doubled. And it was getting to a point where the stress of work was overwhelming. And not to say I hadn't dealt with stressful work seasons and things like that, but it was getting to a point where I didn't want it to affect my mental health. And I'll never forget, I was sitting at my desk and my daughter had come in. She had left that morning. When she came in that night, I was still at my desk and she says, Mom, you've been here all day. Did you eat? Did you move? And she had always seen me work hard, but never where I'm like at my desk all day. She knew I was definitely a break time. I'm going to take a break. Lunchtime, I'm taking. And that hit really home for me. I didn't want to set the example that this is what life was supposed to be like.
Yeah.
After some serious thought and navigating what like what life might look like next, I quit my job of 20 years, packed everything I owned into a Penske truck. My dad drove me across the country and I moved to Atlanta.
You had been wanting to do this. You wanted to live somewhere else.
I did.
For various reasons, you wanted to have a time to yourself.
I did.
Where you were mom Latrika, where it was you were, ex-wife Latrika. You just wanted to be you and figure out who you were.
I did. I the oldest of two kids raised by a single parent who worked 3 jobs for a lot of my childhood. And so I was the big sister mom to my brother. Then I got married young, had kids young. So I never really got the young adult experience that a lot of people, have gotten. So in my 30s, now I'm divorced, now I'm a single mom. Now I'm like, my kids, my daughter's graduated. Like, I don't have people relying on me like I once did. And I'm going through therapy because that really changed my life. And it was like, I need to do something. I felt like I needed to do something drastic. And for years, I'd been saying, I just want to move away. I didn't know where I wanted to go, wasn't quite sure. Had a lot of fun times in Atlanta, met some really great folks, and thought, okay, that could work, And
Atlanta's bustling. All we could hear about was like really good things.
Really
You've
good
traveled
things.
there multiple times.
Been there for work
and pleasure because we went to Atlanta, so we knew kind of what Atlanta had to offer for you. Chocolate City.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it was sweet Chocolate City, but Chocolate City nevertheless. But I will say this, I met some amazing people in Atlanta, in Georgia, and just some of them I'm still connected to. I will forever be grateful for my time there. It helped me grow in ways I wasn't sure I would have had I not taken that step. But Texas is home. And of course, as soon as I get there, my son is like, hey, Mom, we're pregnant. And I was like, I wasn't quite sure how I would navigate being a grandmother in another state, and opportunity presented itself and I got to come back home.
Right. But I want to talk a little bit about, because you did mention you were in therapy and you worked through some of the issues that you were going through, but also your job piece. So there, a lot of people just keep working. They don't know, they know they're unhappy, but they don't know how to fix it. So you chose therapy as your kind of outlet, as your sounding board. How do you think therapy helped you to make that choice to, like, on a wing and a prayer, just say, you know what, I'm heading to Atlanta?
I had tried therapy probably 10 years prior, give or take. And I'd met with a therapist and there was no connection. I mean, It just wasn't a connection. And my cousin had started going and she raved about her therapist. I mean, and I saw some of the changes in her and just how she was navigating through life differently. And I thought, okay, I'm looking for something different. She's raving. All right, let me give it a shot. And I thought, I'm never going to have this breakthrough. And really, it changed me because it allowed me a safe space to figure out what was next.
Yeah.
Whether that was, I don't know how I'm going to get through this week with a schedule change, right? I don't know how I'm going to be able to navigate this conversation with my kid's dad about something that's needed, or work is overbearing and now I got, all these external things going on, and therapy just gave me a safe space. And over time, it allowed me to shift my focus from being mom, wife, ex-wife, sister, cousin, friend, daughter, niece, co-worker,
caretaker,
everything. Like it gave me this space and this clarity to shift my focus away from everything that was pulling at me and pour that back into myself. And that allowed me the headspace to go, this ain't working for me. This part of life ain't working for me. Something has to shift, and I get to be the architect of the shift.
Right. So you feel like therapy gave you the stepping stone to make choices for yourself, and also not beat yourself up for the choices that you make. And, I think as single moms, especially, Latrika, I think we hold a lot of stuff in because we don't know how to compartmentalize. Maybe we compartmentalize so much that then when it all, comes together, we break.
Yeah.
And we break internally versus breaking externally. So the outside world sees Latrika the good mom, Latrika the good daughter, Latrika the good coworker. But what they don't know is you're like suffering inside. Mm-hmm. And it's that, they always call, mental illness the silent killer.
It is.
And, I always I commend you because I'm a 100% proponent of therapy. My parents, believed in it. I went to it in college when I needed it, whenever I needed it. I don't do it for long periods of time. I do my therapy in bursts of time, but I've always been an advocate and a proponent for therapy. So I thought that was an important thing to talk about in our friendship too, because we share, well, the therapist, you ended up referring me and I ended up falling in love with them, and they're a wonderful therapy group. And I think that the way they managed like my family therapy really helped me forgive myself for some of the past, during my divorce and things like that. So it helped open up a relationship with the ex that I didn't have, and so many good things. So anyway, the point of my story is I think therapy allowed you to open yourself up so that you could make that change to Atlanta.
It did. And I'll say this too, with therapy being what it has been within the Black community, within the African American community, it's not a first pointer, it's not a first resource. When things are happening, it's not our first inclination to go, let's go to therapy. Or it wasn't for me growing up. That's not something my family talked about or utilized. It was, okay, we're going to take it to God in prayer. We're going to pray about it as a family, and we're going to keep on moving. But what I've learned that does is it burns us out because we're so busy trying to not make it look like we don't have it all together, that, like Mary said, we're suffering on the inside. And I realized I literally was burning out from every candle I'm trying to keep lit was literally blowing out. And, once I got into therapy, I have been a huge proponent of therapy for anybody. Like, that'll be my first recommendation. And I know it's not for everybody, but therapy just gives you, I feel like, the space.
Yeah, an outlet.
Yeah.
And it's not always, you can't always tell your friends some of the things. Yeah. You want to, but a lot of times you don't want to burden your friends.
Because they have their own things. They have their own lives.
And some things are too personal for family. I mean, it could be about your family or your friends or how you navigate things.
The best quote I heard about therapy is the people that go to therapy is because of the people that need to be there that aren't going. So I live by that.
I love that.
I live by it. You go because the people that need to be there aren't going. One of you has to go.
Yeah.
So we're taking one for the team.